Alex, let's talk about the possibility of Joao Cancelo moving to Barcelona. How likely is that to happen before the transfer window closes?
It's getting closer and looks to be extremely close now. And this is good news for Barca because this is a position that they have been wanting to strengthen all summer. They've been desperate to get a right back in. They haven't done it yet. It looks like Xavi has got his man, and it is Xavi's man because Joao Cancelo was Xavi's preferred candidate to come in right back. He wanted an experienced player, a player who could slot straight in, and a player who had the qualities that Cancelo has. Others at the club, like the new sporting director, Deco, for example, favoured a different kind of profile. He was more keen on a younger player like Fresneda at Valladolid. But Xavi wanted Cancelo, and it looks like now that this is going to happen. And like I say, it solves a real problem position for Barca because they haven't had a specialist right back, and certainly not one that Xavi has believed in. And what that's resulted in is he's had to play the likes of Jules Koundé, Ronald Araujo there, out of position and not in their best position at centre-back. So I think it's very good news for Barca. I think he'll give them some of the things they've lost on that right-hand side with the departure of Dembélé to PSG in terms of having a bit more creativity on that right-hand side. And, of course, he's versatile as well.
Didn't work at Bayern. Why would it work now at Barca, Robbo?
Well, he's a top-quality player. There's no doubt about that. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. They've obviously bought him or going to buy him to play on the right-hand side. I think what he has one or two clubs, he hasn't quite got on with the managers. He might be a bit of a feisty character. He might not like being told what he should do. I think that was what was the case at Manchester City because the season before last, I thought he was one of Manchester City's best players. He was absolutely outstanding. I think he's a top-quality player. If the manager can get the best out of him, can understand, or they can understand each other, and he gets the role absolutely right, he's a great signing, absolutely.
How is stock's fallen, though? You think, as Robbo said, he was one of the first names on the team sheet last calendar year for Manchester City. Now, is this the place where he can rejuvenate things?
Possibly. I think in games where Barca dominate, which will be a lot of games in La Liga, although they haven't started brilliantly, that's fine. I think the bigger games and the European games that they'll go into, and the European record last year was pretty awful. That's where the questions will start coming in terms of Cancelo's defensive aspect of his game. So what they lose with Koundé and Araujo, who, don't forget, both of them, particularly Araujo when he did a great job on Vinicius Jr. when he shifted him to right back, they're going to lose that a little bit because the weak point of Cancelo's game is no doubt his defending, right? His positional play, his one-to-one defending. What there's no argument, I don't think, from any of the boys, and Robbo touched on it, he is a terrifically talented footballer. So what they're gaining going forward, positionally on both flanks, is something that they really don't have. He can drop into the middle of the park, he can pass the ball like a midfielder, he can whip balls in. The one downside is that he has the Achilles heel is the defensive aspect of his game against better players. If they can figure that out and make sure they've got enough cover, particularly in the bigger games, it's going to be a good signing.
Meanwhile, we discussed this on yesterday's show. Robert Lewandowski hasn't exactly started the season flying, and he's kind of continued the same sort of form that he ended the last campaign with. You look at his first 30 games with Barcelona, he scored 25 goals. He looked off again this weekend, didn't he, Alex? How much concern is there amongst Barca supporters?
I think it's a worry. And I think the worrying thing is that it's not exactly clear what the problem is. You know, are we looking at a player who, let's be honest, is past his peak and this is the start of his decline? Are we looking at a player who doesn't quite fit into Barcelona's style and sometimes there's a feeling that it doesn't quite work? You know, no one doubts, again, his quality, his record is exceptional, as good as anybody, but there's something there that's not quite right. It's hard to believe that a player with his experience and his character would be suffering from a lack of confidence. But I think especially for forwards, I mean, Xavi said it just there, when they're not scoring, even someone like him, I think, is going to start to question themselves a little bit and they start trying a little bit too hard, and that's when things don't start to go their way. But it's a concern, no question, because Barca have kind of invested so much in him as being the guy, and he's really their only pure centre forward in the squad. And also, he's such a big name, such a big character. When it's not working, can Xavi leave him out? I mean, so far, it doesn't look like he's willing to do that, but it's something that he might have to look at if it continues not to work.
I think it's a bit unfair. I mean, here's a guy who is absolutely proven beyond doubt. I think there's a bigger problem here, and it's the supply chain. And let's take match day one on the outskirts of Madrid against Getafe. That was a bun fight. That was a boxing match. That was bare knuckles. It was horrible.
Right.
It was a horrible game. All the off-the-ball stuff. Got Barcelona rattled. Put them off the game. They were horrible. Didn't play well. They play, I think, if memory serves me right, Getafe played 3 at the back. Now they're all about 7'6". So it was a horrible game. The Cadiz game was slightly better in the second half, but I'm looking at the players around and behind. Pedri hasn't been brilliant. Gundogan, he's only just got there, but he set the goal up for Pedri, but didn't do a lot. Dembele's gone. Rafinha got sent off in the first game, is not available. So Busquets is not there, who's more than capable of playing those little beautiful chip balls from deeper positions. So what's around him, for me, needs to be better.
Okay.
100%. If he gets the service, the correct service, and the correct delivery into the box, Robert Lewandowski will score goals. Barcelona, to start this season, and the way they finished last season, because they'd already won the league at a canter, have been pedestrian. And I don't think that helps Robert Lewandowski.
Do you agree, Robbo?
Absolutely. I mean, he doesn't become a player that can't finish. If he's given chances, he'll still take them. Doesn't matter what age he is. He's a different sort of player now. When he was at Dortmund originally, he was somebody that could run the channels. He'd still score his goals, but he was quick, he was strong. He hasn't got those qualities anymore. When the ball's played up to him on the halfway line, quite often he gives possession away, and that's what people get annoyed with. But if they play much better higher up the field, he's still going to find space in the box. The last couple of years at Bayern Munich, he didn't run the channels. He was just there to finish off the chances. And they need to be making more chances. And Craig's absolutely right. The likes of Pedri, Gavi, all top-class players, Gundogan, they've got to start getting balls rolled into him, down the side of him, so he can get his finishes away. They need more quality in that top third of the field in the upcoming games.
Maybe a certain Portuguese international could offer that quality if he makes a move from Atletico Madrid, Alex.
Ronaldo?
No, Ronaldo's busy.
It's a nice little link. I see what you've done there. Yeah, Joao Felix.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you. Appreciate
it. My pleasure. He's been linked to them all summer. As we get towards the end of the transfer window, it's the kind of move that gets increasingly likely because Atletico Madrid are getting increasingly desperate to offload him. And I guess they'll be more willing to accept the kind of offer that Barca would be able to put together in terms of a pure loan, just for a loan fee and whatever they work out in terms of the wages. It's a strange one because this is a player who Joan Laporta, Barca the president, loves and has made no secret of that and has liked him for a long time. The reporting is that it's a player that Xavi isn't quite as keen on. You can see where he'd fit into the team playing off of Lewandowski, but is he a better option there than the other options they've got, the likes of Ansu Fati, who Xavi doesn't quite seem to believe in for whatever reason. And the same old doubts about Joao Felix and the fact that he's never done it consistently. He's never yet really fulfilled his potential. He's had these issues consistently at Atletico Madrid. But there's no doubt that Barcelona, the kind of team that they are, or at least the idea we have of Barcelona, maybe not so much this kind of edition of Barcelona, he's the kind of player that fits into a team like that and a kind of a culture like that more than he ever has at Atletico Madrid.
Sure, Robson.
Yeah, the only problem with Joao Felix, I disagree slightly. I'm not sure where he would fit into the side because you're not going to leave out, they've got two great young players. We said they're not playing quite as well as they can do, but Pedri and Gavi, who play in behind the main striker. The area where they've been disappointed, Ansu Fati, as we heard, Xavi doesn't quite fancy him at the moment out on the left-hand side. It's the player on the right-hand side that's been the problem. Rafinha, when he was playing, hasn't quite done it. Yamal is very young still. So would you play Joao Felix out wide? I don't think that you'll get the best out of him. So I'm not quite sure where we would fit in. And if you are going to take him on loan or buy him, you've got to make sure that you play him. And I'm not sure where he fits into the side at the moment.
Correct.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.